Hello and welcome to Two Spanners, One Hammer, the Hammers Chat Patreon exclusive podcast made just for you. My name is Charlie Welsh. I'm one of your hosts alongside the co-host with the co-most. He's been on a ghost tour today, ladies and gentlemen. Ray Borum. Ray, tell me about ghosts.
Oh, no, what was that?
I pressed the thing like that, right? And that comes because that's the thumbnail, just because I realized that for once I was slightly more ahead of myself. Like, usually I'm not prepared enough to do that. Today I was prepared enough. Don't expect it again because it won't happen again, you know? But for today...
It's only taken 3 seasons. 3 seasons.
Series 3 is when I've brought it in. As I said, don't expect it again. Don't expect it again. Maybe Series 6 it'll happen again. Who knows? We'll find out. We'll find out.
Well, as you asked... Went to like Shiverpool.
Okay.
Right? I just literally done an interactive walk around town. How cool is this? This is quite cool.
What makes it an interactive walk around?
There was 2 people who obviously worked for the theatre, were like doing interactive stuff, and we had to join in. So there's a video of me lying on the ground because I had to pretend I was dead.
And with us this week, I suspect not having lied on the ground, although maybe you could prove it wrong, is Jamie. Jamie, how are you? Have you been on the ground today?
I'm not today. No, I'm not. Very sad for you guys.
Okay. If you had to go on a ghost tour of one city, what would it be?
Honestly, probably New Orleans in America.
Oh,
because it's meant to be bonkers out there. It's meant to be absolutely bonkers.
That's a great shout.
That was a banging shout. You've nailed that.
You weren't expecting that, was you, Charlie?
I wasn't. Yeah, I was still in my head. I was still thinking about you just lying on the floor in the middle of Liverpool City Centre. But New Orleans, that's a banging shout. That was a belting shout.
Yeah, New Orleans. I think 100% because they got the French. They all the French. And the voodoo and all that lot out there, it'd be nuts.
Yeah, I know not much about it, but this is what I've heard. Could ask Wally, previous guest. He goes to New Orleans a lot. Speaking of places where it's mad, the Euros are happening, and wildly, England are doing well for once. Ray, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you about England right now? How confident are you going into England games? Let's put it that way.
Mate, we haven't conceded a goal. That's mad. Like, I literally thought, looking at our team, we have probably got one of the worst defenses in this tournament. That's what. Well, not the worst. It's like mediocre. Like, you look at our attacking style and all the attacking players we've got as options. Amazing. You know, we've got Sancho, who's only just come on, played fantastic the other day. Looks like he could be going to that next level, joining Man United, all that kind of good stuff. We've got Saka that's come in, played absolutely blinding. You've got Grealish. Like, at the end of the game, you can see Southgate going to him like, look, I needed to make some other subs. I wanted to put you on, but I just couldn't. Don't wait. Seems like you'll be ready for the next game. And I feel like football is coming home. I'm not even football's coming home.
I will say though, it should be said about Ray. He said it. It should be said about Ray that Ray gets when we win, we're winning the Premier League, and when we lose, we're getting relegated. So it's not a shock that we're taking that many steps. It's not a shock. What about you, Jamie? How do you feel about how England have played?
Quite well. Like I wouldn't like to say I'm not shocked. I thought with the team they have, that they should be doing as good as they currently are doing. Obviously, I'll take on board what's being said about we haven't conceded a goal. I always say to my mate, I said, if we get Italy in the finals, I think we're banging trouble. I think Spain are an easy team to beat. They're a young team. They're still trying to find their feet. Italy didn't concede a goal for 9 months, I think it was. Then obviously conceded one against Austria. So I take England's 5 games or 4 games without conceding and challenging against Italy's 9 months without conceding a goal. So out of the 2 teams, I don't know. I think Southgate would have to be tactically brilliant and outsmart Mancini if he's going to better Italy. I think man for man is quite interesting. I think defensively they're stronger. Attackingly, attacking were stronger. So it'll be an interesting battle between two teams. Massively interesting. But I'm happy how well we've been doing. I'm really, really happy. Really proud of the guys. Individuals there who are doing well. Jadon Sancho. I did say in one of the chats, I didn't think he was going to get played until the Man United deal was pretty much done. I almost think someone said a word in Gareth Southgate's ear and said, "Look, don't play him. Just hold him off." Because if he got injured in that tournament, that Man United deal goes. That doesn't happen. So, yeah. But no, I'm happy. I'm proud of the guys. I think it's coming home. Oh, mate. I just have this horrible feeling, right? And I hate to say it. I think Denmark might do something. And they shouldn't. This is the problem. They shouldn't. But someone like Martin Braithwaite might cause us problems. And he's a very average player. Very, he's beyond average. But maybe I don't know. I hope we do. It'd be nice. After the year we've all had in the UK, it'd be nice to have time to celebrate. So
it's weird. Great. It's just like because we were talking before about this, and I usually take them as they come, game by game. I'm not really thinking too much about it. Like I'm not really thinking about the pathway through the tournaments or like where we could go or anything else. It's just weird that I work on Sundays, and so I've had to say, look, if we win on Wednesday, I might not be around on Sunday to do what needs to be done, sort of thing. Because I'm obviously gonna watch the final because it's the one time we're gonna be in it, and it's just odd to me that that's something I've had to do. Whereas usually I wouldn't even begin to even consider saying anything like that because there's no point. I mean, like, how do you feel about Rice specifically? How do you think Rice has done at the tournament?
He's been brilliant. I think he's shown the level he's at, and I think obviously there's another level for him to get to. I think in the interview with Stuart Pearce recently, Stuart Pearce spoke about him and he said that there's still a lot for him to learn. That's correct. There's a lot for him to learn. But between him and Calvin Phillips, they've pretty much taken Henderson's position now. I don't think Henderson gets back into that team anytime soon. They have pretty much marshaled field, and when they can play it, Declan Rice can play it by himself and still do really, really well. It was always interesting to see what it would be like without him having Souček with him, because they complement each other really well. But then obviously what him and Calvin Phillips kind of put together as well has been phenomenal. But Declan's been fantastic, and I get why he doesn't want a new contract, whatever the reasons are. He doesn't want to be in like a Harry Kane situation where you're tied to a club and it becomes harder for you to move on if you want to. So no, he's done great. It's been fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, we've not considered a goal or tournament. That says it all for the defence, the goalkeeper, Calvin Phillips, as you said already, and Declan Rice. We've all been amazing. And even when Declan got a yellow card early on in the game the other day against the Germans, he didn't lose his head, didn't make any silly tackles, didn't risk anything. And the same against the Ukraine, played really well. Obviously, Southgate took him off, both of them off to protect him, so the cards are now wiped clean now for the semis and the final. It's just a really solid, professional, grown-up performance that you would not normally say with England. And no matter how much stick I probably gave Southgate in the group stage for not being more adventurous, playing two defensive midfielders or like to see others, it's proved us all wrong. Like, you can't go through a tournament and not consider a goal. Like, it's unbelievable. But yet we're there, and I don't think any other team has come close to doing it, have they?
I'd have to double check.
Yeah, I think if we do it in the semi-finals, we keep no claims.
Italy, big one.
Italy, yeah. Italy makes sense.
Yeah. Italy. But did they do it for the whole tournament? I don't know. I think it's just to the quarters, wasn't it?
I can't remember Italy conceding, but again, I'd have to double check. I'll double check while you carry on talking.
Yeah. So it's just exciting. It's exciting times. Like, the atmosphere in the bar is being fantastic, and everyone panics because everyone's singing football's coming home, and we're not meant to because of COVID, but who cares? Let's just get away with it because we need that release in our life, and everyone just needs something to be positive and look forward to. And we are a lucky country that we've got such a great team. They've won things at youth level, and now they're growing up and starting. Looks like they're going to win something adult level, which would be amazing. I'm just really proud, excited. Such a great network of players together. Where you've looked at other teams in the past, where Lampard, Gerrard, and even Ferdinand all turned around and said we didn't really sit and talk to each other. Now you look at it, they're all interacting with each other. They're all getting close to each other. Rice was saying, I've never really spoke to Sacco before, but now I've grown closer to him. It's all exciting stuff. It's really good time for England, and I hope it carries on, especially for the World Cup.
I think it says a lot about. I mean, and this is Rice and Phillips, to be fair, because I think Phillips has been so much better than I thought he was going to be in this tournament. I've always liked Calvin Phillips, but he's like stepped up another level this tournament. It says how good they have been. That Jordan Henderson's basically not even got a sniff in, and obviously like he's had his injury problems this season and everything else. It's not like he hasn't, but like Jordan Henderson is a Champions League and Premier League winning captain. Like, to say that kind of level of player isn't even touching the team because of how good Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips have been is a huge credit. I mean, and it plays into the contract situation with Declan Rice to an extent. I mean, like I've said some stuff, Ray, and I don't have to go over my stupidity when it comes to saying stuff. But do you think? How do you feel about Declan Rice in the contract situation currently? I guess let's ask that general question. Also,
was it me? Sorry.
Yeah. First.
I feel like this season coming is probably our last season with Declan. I think we've all got to accept that, because I think he's going to go on to bigger and better things afterwards. The contract is just to see how much money we get for him afterwards, because if we get him on another contract, then we'll be able to get the 100 million next season. If we don't, then they're going to have to sell him at a cheaper rate because his contract is going to get lower and lower and quicker and quicker. Like, how long has he got on his contract now?
I think he's contracted till 2025 anyway.
Yeah. So, enjoy it. Like, I think we might be lucky enough to keep him. If you think of the teams that he's going to go to, they all seem to have players in place and ready for next season. And then at the season afterwards is where they look like they're going to need to strengthen in that. You look at Man City.
Sorry.
That's right, bud. You look at Man City and, Fernandinho is going to get a year older. So you kind of see him fitting into the Man City team. Man United will they be spending that kind of money on Declan this season? No, they've always spent Sancho. They're going to probably spend a little bit more on the guy from Real Madrid. And maybe if they put in a bid for Harry Kane, it's just they're not going to have enough money to buy Declan. I really don't think Chelsea will be buying him.
How do you feel, Jamie, about Declan Rice's contract situation?
I think Declan Rice, I think he's doing a smart thing. Not that I want him to leave the club or anything. I think he needs to start thinking about his career rather than obviously I think he's going to get to a point where he becomes bigger than West Ham. And I think for us to keep him, West Ham as a team needs to now start growing even quicker to accommodate such players. Because we can almost be cause problems with us. Obviously, with us getting somewhere like Europe, then not having a place to complement being in Europe, it almost becomes a pointless competition to be in with someone like Declan Rice, who will be playing at that level and also within that competition with your Man Cities, your Man Uniteds, and your Chelseas and XYZ. So, in order for us to keep it, it's now up to us to build a team not around him, but that is at his level and at his caliber. And I think if we don't do that, then we lose him. I think Declan will want to go where he's going to win trophies. Not so much he's not going anywhere for the money. So we can start putting ourselves in a position where we'd like to win something, then that leads him to stay for a little bit longer. That tempts him to stay for longer. But if we just capitulate and don't, then he has every right to leave, if I'm honest.
Do you think it's a case of, how do I word this? Do you think we can get to that position where we can convince Declan Rice to stay for footballing reasons, or is the only reason he would stay A, for money, or B, because of heart? I guess, if you want to put it those terms, Jamie, do you reckon that's possible?
Well, he's a Chelsea boy at heart, and it's not money for him. So that's he's not your modern day player to a degree. He's very old school. I think he'll stay loyal as long as loyalty lasts, but loyalty doesn't come with a cost. So it comes with, what can I obtain for my loyalty? And if he can't obtain anything, then he's going to go. I do think we need to spend wisely, not so much spend a lot. We need to spend wisely. We need to start building a team that actually can go out there. Teams fear us. Teams that want to play against us. Yes, last season was fantastic. Antonio was causing everyone problems and X, Y, Z. But how long does that last? Because now we've got an additional amount of games in this next season. Expectations have been set even higher. I was finishing in sixth position. So what is the ceiling for the club? Because I still think Declan Rice's ceiling is a lot higher than the club's. And until that aligns itself, he's not going to stay.
Yeah, right. I also think that Declan is going to get a taste of winning through this tournament as well. And, he's going to see the people with Harry Kane, signing a new contract, but Tottenham didn't win anything. So I'm now trying to have to force a move. And maybe that's one of the reasons why he's not signing a contract. But, yeah, going away with England, everyone goes off to these other clubs, and Jordan Sancho playing well for Dortmund, and, Reece, Chamberlain, and all them kinds of players for Chelsea just turn around saying, "Oh, we've just won the European Championship." Then you got Man City players saying, "Oh, we're champions of the Premier League." It's going to be like, "Well, I want a taste of that. I want to be part of that. I want to be in the mix."
Are you at all concerned, Ray, about the fact that, and Hammer pulls this up as well, like Kuthal seems to be going through a similar contract situation at the moment. She says that apparently he's not happy with his contract or something. Is this true? He seemed far more humble than to be unhappy with it. I think, to be fair, it's his people who are more unhappy with it, rather than, at least what I've read is the words his agent or his representatives, as opposed to Vladimir Kuthal himself kicking off a fuss. But Ray, are you concerned that there's a trend at the club currently about this? I mean, my concern going into this window, is that we haven't got a lot of money, and so it makes spending smart, as you've just said, Jamie, twice as important, because we can't just go and buy all of these players because we don't have the money to, and so we've got to spend well. And my concern has always been, we don't have money, and now all of a sudden we've got two of our best players last season. In my mind, two of the three best players in our squad last season are now having contract issues because the contracts they're being offered, they feel like at least aren't what they should be being offered. Ray, is that concerning to you at all?
For Declan, yeah, just because I think it will be his catalyst to move on to bigger and better things. Sufal's been with us one season. So I think he should be, I don't know what his salary is. So he's probably looking at other players in the squad. So how much?
It's about 40. So that's about 40K a week.
Yeah. So if you look at other players, if you look at other players around you, I wouldn't be surprised if Jared is on more money than that. So
Ryan Fredericks is on more money than that. Ryan Fredericks is on 50.
So you'd look at. Yeah, it's the same with in the industry. One assistant manager is getting more than the other assistant manager. You'd be like, well, we both do the same job. In Sufal's wording, I'm first team. You're backup for me. So why am I getting paid less? So asking for a 20 grand pay rise, between 60 and 70 is not massive for us. It is, but for like a Premiership footballer. The average salary is around about 70K now, isn't it? So I wouldn't be surprised. As for, am I concerned? I think it's just down to the owners. I just think that the owners just can't afford to run the club at the level it needs to be run at for us to move on to the next level. I don't think they can attract some of the bigger name players because they haven't got the money as owners to do so. Or they're not wanting to spend it because it's not part of their get-out plan, if you know what I mean. Which is how long away from potentially they getting 100% of the club so that they can get out?
Like 2 years or something.
Yeah.
It's potentially playing on their minds. I can't lie about it. I don't know if it is, but it is potentially. I mean, I had this conversation once about like the idea of, in my head, the better the club is, the more it's worth. But if you can make the club worth 100 million more, but you have to spend 300 million to get there, then what's the actual point? You're not making any money at that point. And if they are playing to sell the club, it is kind of a game of cat and mouse. How do you feel about it all, Jamie?
I don't know. I think the Soufal thing. I think he deserves to get paid probably more than Ryan. Well, he does get paid more than Ryan Fredericks. He's come in. He's done a job that no one expected him to do. He's been amazing. He's got assists. He's done absolute bits for us. So for that, he does deserve it. I do think it's more of the agents trying to force it because they're trying to either gauge interest. Because obviously there was talks about other teams looking around him and trying to scout around him at the time as well. So it's just I think they're just trying to force our hand, if I'm honest. Which is fine. Like, that happens in football. I don't get any more money if I do my job any better. So it's annoying. But at the same time, you know, what he does for us and the club, he did give him what he's asking for. As long as it's not ridiculous, just give him it. Meet the agreements and give the agent his little flipping agent's fee I know he's after, and give it to him. Just get over and done with him happy. Because the longer it goes on for, the more it affects the player, the more other people get interested in. And all it takes is one big name club to go, oh, do you know what? He's unhappy. We'll make him happy, and then it becomes. Then we buy another Ryan Fredericks. Don't really want that.
Yeah, I think the board, I'll give them credit in terms of they are very proactive in giving longer term deals. And like, although I think they do probably underpay players whenever they get someone, it means they've spent less. Great. Like, there's obviously some very notable instances of them overpaying players. You know, you're looking at Yarmolenko, Filipe Antunes, there's obviously some very notable examples, but how many times did Antonio get upgraded contracts? He got like one a year at one point, because every year they were like, okay, now we're going to give you more. Now we're going to give you more. I think there's two things to be said about that. I do think it's smart business and I respect them for it. It does kind of put us in a weird scenario where, like you say, Soufal, let's say he's on 40k a week. That's significantly less than his performances are worth for us in terms, especially in terms of relative balance and everything else. But bro, you're on like a 4-year contract. Like, it's not the club's priority to try and be renegotiating that with you. But then again, what does contracts even matter at this point? You know, we always say that like they're not really worth the paper they're written on anymore, and that is kind of true. It's like, how many people leave when they're on 5-year deals or whatever? It just doesn't really make any difference anymore. It's concerning to me that they're both having issues, mainly because I didn't even think about contract renewals being a thing. Like, I thought about the people whose contracts were coming up, your Balbuenas, Martin, people like that. I thought about them and I'm like, okay, would I keep them? Would I not? But I didn't even think about how much money would go into upgrading players' contracts who deserve it. Like Rice, for example, is not the highest paid player in our squad, but you'd argue on performances he should be. And it's like, well, if he goes from 70 to 80k a week to 100 grand a week, that's only 30k. But then you add into that Soufal getting 20, 30 grand increase, this person getting 20, 30 grand increase. All of a sudden, that's all of your budget for a new player's wages, Lingard's wages coming in, for example. And I didn't even think about that because I really am not. Jamie, how much money, out of interest, do you reckon? Because I reckon it's like nothing. How much money do you think we've got to spend this summer?
Jesus. So if I'd done it based on my football manager season, all right, then I got an additional £30 million to spend. All right. So, but if I realistically look at it, based on where we finish in the league, based on potential TV rights, I'd say we have about probably 60 mil. I still think we have debts and loans we got to pay off. I still think we've got players. We still got to pay people like when we bought Haller, we still got to start paying them money back as well. We haven't fully paid that back. We might have got most of the money back from Ajax, but that's going to come back in chips and jabs as well. You know, so we're like almost robbing Pete to pay Paul. So it's I don't know. I'd probably 60 mil at a push, an absolute push, and how far that goes to where we need to be. That's the reason why we lose Declan Rice, because we don't have enough money to keep him. Not just in the contract, just to build a squad that has depth to take us where we need to get to. So about 60 mil. But 60 mil doesn't get you much. Doesn't get you much at all. 60 mil pays Messi for his season.
How do we use that then money? How is that money then used? Like, if we're trying to move intelligently in the market, like, we can't be like Chelsea or Manchester United who can afford to go, okay, let's get in Declan Rice, even though he's significantly more expensive than Yves Bissouma. Although, to be fair, I agree with Ray. I don't think Man United are going to do it this window now. I was very concerned about it before, since signing Sancho and potentially Varane and all these other things. I don't think it'll happen anymore. Jamie, how do we go about using that money correctly then? Because as you know, we're all seeing these clubs around us now. They're starting to make moves. They're bringing in low. Go on.
Still Rice.
But no one's going to buy him.
Rice. Cash in. You got to cash. Well, yeah. If someone comes in and goes, right, we're going to give you 70 mil for Declan Rice, we take it. All it takes is one bad season, literally. Because if you look at Diop, at one point Diop was being touted around for £40 million. Now you'd have to almost give him away, and that's 15 to 20 million pounds. Sometimes, like in business, you got to strike while the iron's hot. No, I know it's not everyone's most popular topic getting rid of Declan Rice, but in the nicest way possible, Declan Rice is not going to win us a Premier League. Declan Rice is not going to win us a European Cup. The squad does that, not one individual player. Hasn't had the ability of Lionel Messi to absolutely change the game. So we almost have to sell it, but then it's how we reinvest that money. Like, there's always, in the nicest way possible, there's always another Declan Rice. We had Maradona, and then there was Messi, then there was Ronaldo, we got Mbappe. You know, these players, they're not. Obviously, those are a special caliber of player. If we was half smart, we would have bought Calvin Phillips when he was still in the Championship. You know, but hindsight's a fantastic thing. You know, so I honestly think if someone comes in with a decent enough offer, we have to sell him. It sounds horrible, but we almost have to, because it's at the risk of losing him next season, where we're ready. If we have, all it takes is for us to have a really bad season. He'll depreciate, right? We won't be able to start saying, oh, we want 70, 80 mil for him because we've had a poor season. And they go, well, you finished 19th in the league, but you've got a world-class player. No, sorry, mate. He doesn't want to be there with you no more. Then he's going to have to force a move, which then means we're going to have to take a lower amount of money to get rid of him. So I almost think we take that money. If we can add it all to a transfer kitty, and that gives us £140 million, £120 million, that can be reinvested to build an absolute squad. So I don't know. But if it's just a 60 mil we've got, I have to invest it. Bloody hell. I'll go get Nketiah or Marion Badu. Keep saying Marion Badu. I'd pretty much raid the Dutch league, if I'm honest. And also, I wouldn't get Jesse Lingard in either. I'd get Van Beeken from Man United. I'll take him instead. Unpopular, but he's 24. Yeah. I'd spend him £30 million on a 28-year-old who is, don't get me wrong, good, but there's no resale value in it. And if we go by the Red Bull mantra, then Jesse Lingard isn't the player we need to buy.
Right. Thoughts on how we spend the money, and also, now 2 people have told you we should sell Declan Rice. What are your vibes now, huh? Now it's not just me, and you look at me and you go, how do you feel about that? Huh? I found someone.
Well, I'm not adverse to selling Declan Rice at 100 million. My other concern is now, as quite rightly as you just pointed out, Calvin Phillips is starting to come up. Is he going to potentially? Are other teams going to look at Rice and Phillips as, you know, who do we buy? Who's cheaper? Because will Leeds want 100 million for Calvin Phillips? Possibly not, but Declan, yeah. You know, are Man United going to have McTominay and Rice and Phillips? No, they're going to pick one or the other. So they keep McTominay and then be like, oh, who should partner him in midfield if we sell Paul Popper? Well, let's go with Calvin Phillips. He's been the outstanding defensive midfielder throughout the whole tournament. He's done really well. You know, he's playing for a great team and a great manager in Leeds. It might be the fact that if we hold on to Rice one more season, Rice might get surpassed by other players. And maybe, you know, we are looking at Man United and Man City and trying to buy everyone, all the great players in the Premier League. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we've already seen it to an extent with the Yves Bissouma stuff. Like, I can't remember who was reporting it, but Yves Bissouma interesting Manchester United more than Declan Rice is purely because he's like available for in and around 30 million, whereas you go and you buy Declan Rice for, well, you'd have to haggle down from 100 basically. It's a different kettle of fish for a player. Like, is the difference between here and here ability wise 100 million? I don't know. It all depends on who you are, I guess, and what your needs are. Like you say, I think Calvin Phillips, I think a lot of conversations I had, because Jamie, I agree with you. Okay. No, but I've been saying it for too long and people think I'm crazy. And that's fair enough because I am. But I have been saying it. And I think a lot of people were talking to me about this tournament upcoming like 4 months ago when I was saying it and going, well, if he has a really good Euros, he's going to be worth significantly more. Why would you sell him? Like, blah, 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 blah. And my argument has always been, and Gio actually started saying it in a video as well this week, which makes me feel like maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe I'm just ahead of the curve and everyone should listen. You know what I mean? He was talking about how actually, what are you talking about? Was saying how his value is probably not going to significantly increase. That's not because he's having a bad tournament, just because how much more are you going to get over 100 million for Declan Rice? And the answer is probably not that much, right? Whereas someone like Calvin Phillips is all of a sudden, I think, being an absolute like, again, I've liked Calvin Phillips for a hot minute, but yeah, this tournament he's been a different. Now again, he's been different because Declan Rice has been in that role, which allows him to move forward in the same way that Declan Rice allows Souček to go forward and does stuff like that. It's a similar effect, right? But at the same time, it would not surprise me if lots of clubs were looking at Calvin Phillips instead and going, oh, he's a cheaper version of Declan. He's a cheaper alternative there. We could definitely go for. Whereas before the tournament, I don't know if Declan Rice's stock is any more higher. But then again, I'm a West Ham fan, so I wouldn't see that specifically. I guess then, so how much of that money then? Let's just say we're taking 60 mil as the budget, because I reckon it will be my opinion is it's probably slightly less than that, but I'm happy to say 60 million. How much of that goes on striker, Jamie, do you think?
25 mil. At least. I don't think we need to spend £40 million. You don't need to spend £40 million on a player when behind him you've got average players. It doesn't complement it, becomes wasted money. It's a bit like when we even like Anderson being as poor as he's been, we brought Anderson into a squad where he's not complemented. So in turn, you don't always get the best out of him. Don't get me wrong, he's his own worst enemy as well. Same as Hilaire, you spend the money on the player, cool, brilliant, but you need to have the players around to complement that as well. If you don't have that, that doesn't work. So if we can get the attacking midfielder or the number 9 support sorted out, then you take some of that money, then you have to complement it with a striker. I almost think you should buy them 2 players in conjunction because they have to work with each other. So I'd say 25 mil. Tammy Abrahams is only a 25 mil player. I don't care what anyone says. He's not worth more than that. No, the English tax gets added onto it as well, but he's 25 mil top. Again, we should. There's other players we really should have gone for. Ivan Toney being one of them. He would have been amazing. Ollie Watkins, when we could have gone and got him. All the woulda, coulda, shouldas we've had that we just never went and got. So, but yeah, 25 mil, but nothing, no more than that, because there's a lot of gaps in that squad that need to be filled. A lot of gaps to compete in all competitions. A lot of gaps.
Right.
I don't know, Salsa. It all depends on how much you spend on other players, because you can look at what we've been spending on Souček and Coufal. You know, we might go back to Czech Republic and look at some of the players out there. We might need to spend 10 million on a striker and get a really decent striker out of there instead of paying 40 million for Tammy. You know, I personally would like to see Tammy Abraham at West Ham, but I don't know. A lot of people turn around and said he won't suit our tactical formation. So, and he isn't really a hold up. Tammy, would he fit in our formation? Would he complement us? I don't know.
Yes, I think he would. I think if you look at Tammy hasn't had a consistent run of football for a long time. So I think he'd adapt to suit just to get what he needs. Obviously, he's not an Antonio, so he won't run down players. But I think that's something you can train. He's still young. He's only, 24, 25 maybe? That can still be trained into him. So I don't think he'd suit in naturally to it. But I think, again, if someone like him, if Ben Rama was playing more, I think Benny would almost complement him. So he may not have to do all that running down. He might just have to focus. Obviously, the biggest issue we had last season was Antonio ended up on the wings half the time, crossing the ball into himself. So, you know, so we always need a focal point in the middle of the pitch. So I wouldn't mind Tammy. I wouldn't mind him. You know, I just wouldn't pay £40 million for him. You know, or we could have got Daka, and he's obviously gone to Leicester, and that was 25 mil.
But he turned us down, didn't he?
Apparently so. But again, that. It'd be interesting to understand the reasons why. Probably the Champions League side of it, maybe. But interesting to know why. I think anyone has a price.
I think the Champions League is definitely a big part of it, and I also think
they're not in the Champions League.
We tend to maybe they've got obviously significantly more chance of getting Champions League than we ever do. But I think part of what I would say is something we discount or don't think about too often, but I think is probably an issue, is we don't chase players like we should. You know, we don't make statements in that sense. We tend to wait till the last minute on every single transfer. And if you're Daka and you're sat there and you go, well, here's Leicester, and Leicester are gunning for me. Leicester are saying, look, this is what they're promising you the world. They're saying all of these things. They're clearly making big moves to try and sign you. They're putting in bids, everything else. And then you have West Ham who, yeah, they might be interested in you, but they're sort of thinking about it. They're sort of, maybe we'll pay this much. Maybe what's this guy saying? Then you're probably going to pick the people who want to go with you more, right? And that's even if you were on an even playing scale. Whereas we all know Leicester are I would say are a much more attractive proposition to play for. A club who were in the Champions League spots until the very end last season, in like doing that sort of thing very consistently. Now you've got a manager who's almost won the Premier League before and clearly is very well. They've got a squad, which is something we don't tend to have. They've got a lot of very good players there. I think it's not difficult to see why a lot of players would think about it. And that's what frustrates me most about, I guess, our transfer policy in general, when we're talking about strikers and everything else. And it's frustrating from a fan's point of view to watch us dilly and dally, because I'm like, can we just go and get it done, please? We need to get stuff done. Why are we wasting so much time? But also, I think it's just a mistake. I understand they want to wait till the last minute because they think you can get a better deal that way. And yeah, you're probably right. The player you end up buying on deadline day or the day before deadline day or whatever might be slightly cheaper than the player you try to go and get on the day one. I understand that, but it's probably also not your first choice. And how often at West Ham do we miss out on our first choices for whatever reason? It's constant. I don't think we've ever got our first choice in. Anderson's the one I could think who's the last one who was an actual first choice. And even then, I'm not certain. I just think he was. Haller wasn't first choice. What a beautiful moment in life that was. Beautiful moment in life that was for me specifically. And it was a good look. We can say what we want about that window where we only signed Hugo and then Evra after the window, and then our head of football got done for being racist. But it was a beautiful time. No one can say nothing else about it. I'm out. I think it's true. We just don't do it. We just don't do it. And like, sure, you might be saving money, but when you're trying to improve your club, is it important to save the money, or is it important to get the players that the squad and the club needs? And I would argue that if you're ever going to improve, you have to do the latter. Now, obviously, if you go and try to buy Daka and they turn around and go 50 million, then I'm not saying you go and spend 50 million. That's madness. You say no, obviously not. There's a middle ground we do not find, and we love leaving it to the last minute. And that's the thing is, I thought before this window we would leave it to the last minute. We're doing that, and I'm not calm. Like, I thought maybe if I thought about it beforehand, I know it's coming, then maybe it would chill me out. No, it hasn't. It hasn't at all. So, Jamie, if you were to pick one position where you're like, that would be, if let's say we only could sign one player this summer. I won't ask you for a name, but like one specific position. What are you saying it should be?
Striker. Okay. I've got the players I'd buy and everything. I've got all that.
Listen, you're more than welcome to drop them in. I just don't like throwing people names. So if I was buying a striker, Marion Padu every day of the week. I said it. I'll keep saying it again. Marion Padu. The man's he's going to be a beast. Marion Padu. He's an absolute beast. He's an absolute beast. So, and if I was to get an attacking midfielder, I'm getting Hadji from Rangers. I'm not mucking about. I'd even go get Ryan. What's his name? Ryan Krankenbach from Ajax. He's 19. Absolute animal. Like, these are again. This is the mantra we're meant to be going after, and they're the kind of players you want to be going getting. But yeah, that literally, I'd buy 3 players. Job done. Defensively, I don't think we have it. I think we've got enough in the bank with defenders. But midfielders, we need someone a bit more versatile. We need another versatile midfielder. I don't want Jesse Lingard. I don't want him. I don't want Jesse Lingard in the squad. He's a great player, great marketing ability, but doesn't fit the mantra. And then I want Marion Padu. I'll say it again. That's fair. That's fair. Ray, same question. One position.
Left back.
Okay.
Ooh. Left field. Yeah.
Left back.
I just think like Cresswell is been doing amazingly, but we're gonna have to start getting a left back in place to cover him or replace him.
The news.
And
now we cut live to Larry Boreham in Liverpool. Yeah.
West Ham signed left back.
Oh my god. Yeah, I think it has to be a striker, but only just because I'm so concerned with extra football, what it means for Antonio to get injured. And when it comes to Odebeku, I was never convinced by him in the first place, but I don't think any less of him after the Man United game. I actually think he was very hard done by in that game, personally. I understand why people would disagree with that, but I actually think he was very hard done by in that game. Not because I think he played particularly well, because I don't. I just think it was a game where he was thrown a little bit to the wolves. So for me, like I look at it, and with those extra games, I think, yeah, we just need a striker. And it's not even a case of, because I strongly agree with Jamie about the squad thing. Like, it's frustrating to me where we all seem to be so hyper focused on getting a striker and saying stuff like 20 goal a season and all this stuff, because realistically you could put Ruud van Nistelrooy in his prime up front for West Ham. If someone's not giving him the ball in the right places, he's not going to be prime Ruud van Nistelrooy. That's the truth of the matter. You have to get the people to supply the balls. And so we can sit here and get frustrated about strikers and we need a bit of striker and this, that, and the other. If they're not being provided it, then there's no point. Having said that, we only have one at the club. And that guy is hella injury prone, which is I wanted to ask both your opinions very briefly on Danny Ings, because as Gatesy brought up, we've been linked with him once again. And that's the whole reason I wouldn't get him. I think Danny Ings is a very good striker, but he's so injury prone that we just need someone who will always be available, who is the right striker for Moyes' system. That's the priority. And that's coming from someone who doesn't like David Moyes. Ray, Danny Ings, yes or no?
To be fair, I've just got a Scottish man chatting in my ear named Gio.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Danny Ings, please. I love Danny Ings.
Incredible impression. Bang on. Bang on. He rang me on the phone yesterday. That's how he sounded. It was exactly like that. Danny Ings. Yep.
Ray, get Danny Ings, please. Get Danny Ings. Fine.
Yep. No, yeah, it's a banger. It was like he was here.
I don't even watch that show. Fuck him.
Fuck it, it's fine. He's not here. But all right, so ignoring the Scottish voice in your head, Ray, Danny Ings, yes or no?
No, I don't. I think it's a no because it doesn't excite me. I want someone that excites me. Like we've got Antonio, who can be the number 2. I'd rather if we have Danny Ings and Antonio, like making a substitution is not going to be exciting. And I think we're going to struggle next season anyway. But I want someone younger, more enthusiastic, someone that's going to run. And Danny Ings is just getting older. It doesn't close down the ball as well.
Mm.
So no for me. It's a no. Sorry, Gio. It's a no for me.
I'll clip that out and send that bit specifically to him. He won't watch the rest, but I'll tell him just watch this specific. Give him the time code and say just this bit specifically, and then just see how. What about you, Jamie?
I don't want you to.
What about you, Jamie?
What racist?
I don't know. For some reason, I want to say yeah, but I also want to say no. No, I don't. I don't take it. I don't. They're both broken players.
Yeah.
I just don't. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, and knowing our luck, he's just going to get taken out by someone in training. Probably be Debeco, take him out in training. And yeah, that's it. Or probably Philip Anderson, take him out in training.
He might not be here for the longest time. At least,
well, yeah, I saw he was.
If Odebeku's doing this, he wants it. He wants it so much that he's willing to take his opponent. And I respect that kind of drive. Philip Anderson won't even be.
It'd be like Sean White. It'd be like Sean White Phillips and Dean Ashton again.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I think no, I don't want him. I'd like to say yeah. I just don't want him. I think as Ray said, he's not. Danny Ings coming off the bench is not exciting for us. But again, it's like Chelsea fans used to say a lot. Like Chelsea fans right now, well, not right now, but years ago, would have taken Jose Mourinho back and won every game 1-0, played boring football, and won the league.
Yeah.
And I think now in Europe, it's what do we actually want moving forward? Like, do we want attractive, beautiful football at all times, or do we want something to get the job done and we maintain that position and maybe not guaranteed to get pretty football every week? So down to personal preference. I personally wouldn't have Danny Ings. No.
So what do you want, Jamie? Next season, end of the season, what makes you think, okay, that was a good season, I'm happy with that? What's the aims in terms of finishing positions?
So I think
whatever you're vibing.
So right, top 10 finish. Quarterfinal at least of one of the cups, one of the English cups, and if we can get out the group stages of Europe. Honestly, I don't think we're gonna. I don't think unless we spend very clever and buy the right players, we don't get Europe again next season. And I think at some point, depending on what we want as a team or the club want for the team, however they spend the money is going to turn around and work out how our next season is going to be. Because there's this whole thing. They had that 10-year plan where they go, oh, West Ham going to get in Champions League football. Fine. We got to European football. Now back it up. Now give us some money. And if they don't, then all that forward planning that obviously us getting into Europe is a bit of luck. Hard work, but it wasn't their plan. Yeah, they need to back it up, if I'm pretty honest. But yeah, I'll say top 10 finish. If we get 6th again, beautiful. Some form of a cup run, quarterfinals maybe, and to get out of the group stages of Europa would be fantastic. That'd be brilliant for me. I'll be happy with that. Something to build off.
If we say we got out of the group stages in Europe, got to a quarterfinal or a semi-final of a cup, not winning it, but getting deep into a cup, maybe even getting past the first knockout rounds of Europa League as well. Would you take finishing low? Would you be okay with finishing lower in the league, or is that a prerequisite?
How low?
Well, let's test the water. 12th.
I think I'll only go as low as 10th. I'd only go as low as 10th. If we go lower than that, then again, it just shows everything we've said, that they've not invested properly. The squad depth's not there. And yeah, it's just going to be a clusterfuck, pardon my French, for the season.
That's fair. We're on the Patreon.
Just going to capitulate again. Perfect.
Yeah. I think, Ray, how do you feel? I want to, because my personal opinion is, if we get top half next season, then I'm happy, because I do think we will get out of the group stages. I think we will have more football than the group stages in Europe. They've obviously made it significantly easier. 1 through 3 in the group stage, you will place at least one more game in Europe, depending on what happens. I think we will get out of the group stages. I don't know how we'll do the cups. I've got a feeling David Moyes will throw them. But I do top 10. I would be happy with that. I'd be content with that. And that meant that on the proviso that the season after, then we can re-go at trying to either get into Europe via league position, or get into Europe via actually winning a cup, or doing well in those positions. Because I don't think we'll be in Europe again the season after. So Ray, how do you feel?
So I was just trying to look at the table to see where we finished, where Wolves finished last season, to be fair, because what I feel like we're going to have a very similar season this season that Wolves did last season, where Europe takes its toll on them, where all these extra games take their toll on them. We haven't got the players. Like literally, even if we were just to play, Thursday, Sunday, we just haven't got the squad depth or to play everyone. The League Cup and the FA Cup, I'll be surprised if he plays any first team players apart from the reserves and Noble. So ideally, a better season than what Wolves did would be ideal. And I think it was 13th, to be fair. I think if we to get into Europe again, that would be a massive achievement in some way, shape, or form. I
think if we got European football 2 seasons in a row, I wouldn't know what to do with myself, quite frankly. I mean, I think we overperformed this season in a major way, and I'm not complaining about that in any way, shape, or form. I just enjoyed the ride for what it was. Doing watch-alongs, like getting to just sit there and go, we're now 4-0 up. Like, that is not something I am anywhere close to expecting again. If we manage to get it, I wouldn't care how, whether it be league position or cup. I think it would be a massive, like literally a monumental achievement. Because for us, it's almost like how Alex Ferguson used to say, winning the league once is the easy part. Winning it the second time is more difficult. Yeah. And it's almost like that for us. It's like getting into it was like, okay, we did it. But getting into it a second time is like, okay, that's a whole different ballgame.
Just with that, Charlie. So I was just going to say, do we know what Moyes did at Everton? How far he used to get into the cups at them stages? Because
he threw. I don't want to say he threw them away, but he definitely did not prioritize them.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be the same here.
I agree. I don't know what he would do about Europe, but I think domestic cup wise, I don't think he would.
That's what I mean in Europe as well. What was he doing in Europe? I don't remember him ever winning the European Cup. So where did they used to get?
He never.
No, I think Everton get in there. Everton get in there one season.
Well, they used to finish 5th every time, so they must have been in there a few times.
I think they got into UEFA Cup, I guess, back then. Champions League they got into once, and they never did anything in it. And I mean, adding on to that, I don't even think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they won a domestic trophy. I feel like they got to maybe one final. In fact, Robert Gates has just said Everton under Moyes made it to the FA Cup final once, which is how I felt. I couldn't remember if it was once or none.
Cheers, Gatesy.
He just it's nice having someone who knows that. Gatesy should really be here. It shouldn't be me if we're being honest about it. But yeah, it's just but Gates next week it'll be Gatesy and Jamie, and then we can just actually enjoy intelligent conversations about football and not.
I'll take you on a ghost tour. Charlie. Don't you worry.
Well, oh, there we go. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a thing. And final West Ham question, at least. And you've said your opinion on it, Jamie. But do you think we will get Jesse Lingard? Happy Amaret asks, do you think by the end of this window, Jesse Lingard will have signed for West Ham United?
No. No, I don't think he does. I think the longer we wait, the more desperate we look, the more desperate until we start going and trying and actually actively look to buy someone else. Man United under no pressure to actually want to sell him whatsoever. But you have to look like we're trying to purchase someone else before they actually might start saying, "Look, we might have to let him go," because Jesse won't force himself out of the club. So. Because he's obviously in good terms with them as well. So he won't force himself to leave the club. So we have to put him in a position where, like, Jesse, you either come now or we buy someone else. But as per usual, we're not actively looking at anyone of any note to put alarm bells in him. So I don't think we buy him, honestly. I think we get another season with Manuel Lanzini. Or an unknown player from God knows what league, or even we keep Anderson. Honestly, I know there's talks of him going. I know there's talks of him going, or we play Ben Rama in that position. I don't see us buying.
Jesse's still on holiday, isn't he? So we ain't gonna hear anything just yet.
There's the last thing I heard about him was that they're scheduled for talks next week with Manchester United.
Yeah, I think they're waiting for Ollie to get back and Jesse to get back off holiday. So I think they're going to have crunch talks, and it all depends on how them talks go and whether Ollie turns around and says, "I'll see you as part of the team." Our saving grace regarding Jesse is the fact they've signed Sancho. They've got too many players now in them positions. You know, you got Green, you got what's his name? Rashford. You've got all these other players that he's just not going to get shouting.
Fernandes, Van der Beek. I mean, they've got more competition now than when he left. Yeah, Dan James. Yeah. So like, I feel like he's just going to be like, I need to get out of this team, because if I've got any chance of being able to play in the World Cup, I've got to be able to get into a first team squad.
Yeah, agreed. Fair. But I think that's the problem I have with that, is that he actively knows this already. So I don't know what he's waiting for. Like, Jesse, surely you can sit there and look around the squad and go, I'm not betting Bruno, he plays my position. I'm not betting Rashford, he plays my position. I'm not betting Jordan Sancho, don't play my position. Right? Ollie, let's not bother waiting till next week, I'm going to leave. Like, it's you know, that's the kind of, I expect him to have that kind of honest conversation with Ollie. But for every reason he's not, and whatever his representatives are saying or doing behind the scenes, I don't see what deal he gets offered and he stays, because there isn't a good one.
It might be a little bit of Jenkinson. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, it might be the case that he's going to talk to Ollie and say, West Ham can only afford 20 million. Please let me go for 20 million.
I think it reminds me a lot. It reminds me of a lot of Carl Jenkinson when he came to us on loan and was obviously really good the first time, and then it was so abundantly clear he was never going to get a chance at Arsenal, and yet he signed a 5-year deal with them because boyhood club, boyhood dream, and all that. And then obviously his career went Pete Tong when he got injured the second time he came back to us. It reminds me of that. Will we get him? The longer my feelings would have been, if we would know by now that he was super interested. And that's not to say he didn't enjoy his time at West Ham or he has bad feelings about West Ham or anything else. I just think if there was a chance, if he wasn't thinking about staying at Man United, we would know for certain by now. I feel like, because like you say, Jamie, I feel like if he was like, right, I need to leave, then we wouldn't need to be waiting for these conversations to happen. It would be a case of he would be very clearly going, and hey, that might not mean we've signed him now. That might not mean the deal has happened, but it would have meant that we would know. And again, at this point, he probably and I don't blame him for it at all, because obviously, like, if I was in Jesse Lingard's shoes and I grew up a Manchester United fan and I was playing for Manchester United, I wouldn't want to leave either, because obviously it's your boyhood club, it's your boyhood dream, but you do have to at some point think, think to yourself, for your own career's sake, a bit like Declan Rice to an extent, to your own career's sake, and go, what is best for my career right now? And the fact is, it's definitely not staying at Manchester United unless they come in and give him a whole load of money on that deal. And I don't know how much money that would be, but we'll see.
Even for his brand.
Yeah.
Even like for the Jalen's brand, him not playing football does him no business, no benefit. He needs to be playing just for his own branding.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It doesn't at all. It doesn't at all. His Instagram is huge, but it doesn't mean it can't last forever. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting situation for Jesse, and I'm concerned he's going to make the wrong decision for his own sake. But there we go. There we go. Jamie, right? At the end of each show, we have a thing. Okay, it's called the wheel. Right? It is the wheel of food places. We will spin the wheel, and whatever location it ends on, Ray Boreham, the judgmental man with KFC literally here, will judge you on what your food order from that location is. Are you ready to spin the wheel?
Always.
Let's spin the wheel.
Come on, KFC. Come on, KFC. Come on. Oh! Close,
but no cigar. The location is Nando's. Jamie.
Chicken Nando's.
What is your Nando's order?
Chicken Nando's. All right, Nando's order is it's half chicken.
Good.
Half chicken, medium or hot, depending on how I feel. Peri chips. Peri chips, rice as well. And also 2 portions of halloumi chips with chili jam.
Oh.
Ray Boreham.
That's a good order.
I think it's good. I think that's a banger. I can't
That's
lie.
a good answer.
There's a lot of good things in there.
Standard meal.
It's a good meal. It's a good. You've not fussed around here. And what I like is that you knew it. There's no thinking here. You've gone, I'm getting this.
No,
you just knew what was going on.
I've ordered that a lot. I've ordered it a lot.
I've only got 2.
I've even bought. You can buy the chili jam. I'm gonna say you can buy the chili jam from Iceland.
Can you really?
Don't get Ray starting about what Nando's you can buy. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Ray, you were going to say about Nando's?
Well, first of all, the chips are microwave chips. Just saying that. Just putting that.
I said don't. I specifically said not to talk about it, bruv.
I know about that.
So you didn't get a starter, so you got to get a pot of olives just to chill out and just pot on the olives.
No, I normally get the nut. I normally get the natas at the end. The custard. I get that.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you didn't say dessert. Dessert.
Yeah, normally I get the natas a takeaway because I like to eat it. I like because it's quite messy. I want to eat when I'm home. I'm chilling there. I've got a cup of coffee with me or something like that, and I'll just have that with it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'll just cook it at home now because it's just so much better. I went to Nando's the other day. I weren't happy. I had the tiniest bit of chicken, like that big. I was not happy. It was such a the whole meal was ruined. Like, it was just chips were overcooked or over microwaved. The only thing that was good was the olives. I was totally kicking. Oh man, don't get me started.
Happy Aunt Moret didn't know this, Ray. Would you like just because I know you want to talk about it? How do they make Nando's go on? I know you want to.
Well, next time you go to Nando's, have a look round. Do you see any chip fat fryers? You do not. So they just do microwave McCann's chips. I know they're McCann's because I've been told they're McCann's, and I've had McCann's and they taste exactly the same. There we go.
There you go. The things you learn in the industry, Raisin, of being, pub
We like chip fat fryers. I might start doing microwave chips at this rate.
Fair. I mean, easy, innit? Easy
like a Sunday morning.
There you go. Jamie, thank you so much for coming on. Brilliant guest. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate it. Loved it.
Ray, thank you as per usual. Just one last time, Ray. If you were to rate this out of 10 ghosts, how would you rate this episode specifically?
Jamie probably a 10. Me and you probably a 2.
2. Okay, not very spooky at all. No spooky. No spooky levels are at a minimum. If you would like to be a guest and talk to Ray about ghosts, among other things, you can leave a comment in the Patreon post below. I will get back to you and we will sort out a time for you to come on. But until then, come on your irons and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.